So in the last class, what we had a discussion, we had a discussion about how we will work for the same thing. So in the last class, what we had discussion, we had discussion about so in the form level, what we have discussed on submit client script and unload client script. Those we had a discussion. So this will be executed in the form in the entire form. Today we will discuss about on change. So what is a on change and we can check how it will execute. On change is nothing but it will be executed on a particular field value changes. The name implies. So for example here I'm just opening our instance. Okay, so this is one. So here I'm just creating one more field called from the form email, something like tester email. So, for example, if I give this tester email, so it should be tester at the rate workorder.com. So that means whatever we are given work order, there should be a specific email ID. It has to accept it. So that's a one. For example, if I give test at the rate for example, I just want to give if the email ID consists work.com. That means any particular domain it has to accept here, then it should be add for the same thing here. So that is our requirement. So for that, what we have to do, we have to write a on change client script for the same thing here. Now what we have to write here? Now we have to write a on change client script for to execute the same thing. If you want to write a on change, so I'm just going to write a client script. On right click, configure, go to the client scripts. So I'm just giving as a leave on change. So for time being, I'm just if you want to, we can add it. So email validation, I'm just making email validation. So we are giving and the other one under stuff and here the type is on change. If you give on change, it should be comes like this one. Next minute, if you give on change, it is asking what is the field name. So that means if you're giving, it should be asking what was the field name for it. That means uh, so what is the female we have to give? We have to give the tester email id and remaining all same. So which means we need to execute the same thing here. So that means if you give on change client script, then what we have to do it is we have to we have to, So on change client script, if you give, that means if you want to execute some script on a particular field value changes, we need to execute the same thing for it. That is the advantage of the one. So here you can see active is true, that's a fine. And inherited, if you want to apply into the child tables, we can do it. And if you want to what we can say, this one. And here if you come to here, if you want to this one here, so if you go to the one function, what we can do it, control old value new value is loading is template. Control is nothing but the html, the dhtml widgets whose value changes. That means it will be used to, if any change value changes in the dhtml widgets, mostly this we will use it. And old value is nothing but what was the old value we have entered. And new value is nothing but what was the new value is we have entered. Next is loading is nothing but it should be executed when the form is loaded. If you give is loading as a true, that is the one how we can execute the same thing. And now the last thing is template. For example, if you are applying for as a template which the data is already have, so that we can have the same thing for it. So this is the basic on change client script which will be used for the here. Now the next thing what we have to write a script for it. So here we have to write a script here. That means the email id will be a combination of the different things like alphanumeric or only alphabets, it has only numerics, or it has a some print. So for that, what we can do it is, for that what we can do it is, so we can write a regex. Regex is nothing but regular expression which will be used for the same thing. I'm just defining where r is equal to, I'm just defining a variable which is a slope open, and the combination is a to z 0 to 9. Sorry, a to z. That means since it is it will be accepted the all the numbers and all the things. And this one a to z 0 to 9, and plus at the rate work.com. For example, I'm just giving as a work, that means what was a website, we can give the one same thing here. So what we have to get is, now would have given the regular expression is work.com for the same thing. So next again we need to test check this one where the email is in that format. So if reg dot test, so reg dot test, what it will do, it will pass the it will it's a function, it will go to the check the validation for it, which is given for the same thing. So new value, so new value, that means if the regdas text is a new value, so if regdas text new value is nothing but what was the new value is given the same format, then we don't have option for the same thing. And if you want to else is nothing but it should be the different one, and we can write we can write a pop-up alert email id should be. So email id is not valid. I'm just making email id is not valid. Please enter the correct domain. So that's the one. And now what we have to write it. Now let's check it how it will execute for the same thing. And if you want any message, g underscore form dot show field message. So what was the message we need to display if you want to see it? We can do it. Simple email ID. So that's I'm just writing. I'm just going to trying to save this one, and we can test this one how it will execute the same thing here. Now what we have to do it is, so I'm just making test at the rate gmail.com. See, there is some error. We need to check this one. Here what we have written, the new value in the new value. So here the new value is here, and what we have written, it's a wrong one. So again, I'm just going to save this one. See what happened? Email ID is not valid. Please enter the candidate. And also, whatever we are reading, the sample email ID, it will also shows here. But here, still, I have the option to save it. But which is invalid, right? So if you want to stop the form submission, what we have to do is we have the option called return false. This is the one of the intro question. Kindly, please note down. Return false is used to stop the form submission for the same thing. So return false, and I'm just going to save. So that means the return false is used to stop the form submission to for the same thing here, which means whatever we are configuring, so we do not allow the user to save the form. So now I'm just going to again test it, save. Just try it once. I think it saved it. Now, once you have saved it, just try to reload the form. But since we are not making any changes, I'm just making Gmail. See, email is not valid. And if you are trying to save it, oh my God. Okay, I think it's here. Okay, so if you want to change it, it should be we can write the unsubmittable. This written false will work. Here it is not working. So better what we have to write it here. We will clear that value. That means whatever the user has entered in that one, if you remove that one, it will be easy for them. So g underscore form dot clear value. Clear value will clear the value for it. And what was the field we want it? So this is the tester underscore email, right? Is it the same? Yep. So this is the one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to reload again. So now let's try to check this scenario again, how it will execute. Now if I'm just going working, and if I'm changing, enter a not valid, and it is removing the message here. So that means whatever the user has entered, so it will not be visible or it will not show for the user. So this is the how we can execute the on change client script for the same thing. I hope till now you guys understood or any confusion. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, very good. So now I'm just going. That's very good. Here we have one more issue. So what we know is this on change client script will be worked in the form level. So for example, if I open this one tester email, as you know, right, this on change client script will be executed in the form level. So I'm just going to here. If I give, I'm sorry, we didn't check this scenario, right? So if I give test at the rate work.com. So if I give test at that work.com, it is accepted. But here, if I give the test at the gmail.com, for example, here I'm just making a test at the rate gmail.com. It was accepting here. So that means whatever the value which you are given, it was accepting, which is invalid for us. So that means it was executed from the list level. User has the option to modify the same thing here. Now what I'm going to do it is I'm going the different scenario. So what I need to write it, we have to write a client script which is restricted in the this list level also. So if you want to list in the control the list level, we can write a on cell edit client script for the same. Just go it new. So on cell edit for email validation in the list level, email validation in the validation list level, and your type on cell edit. So if you go to the on cell edit again, it will be asking the name. So the tester email, that means what was the field we are taking, we have to write for the same thing here. So similarly, what we can do it is, so we have to, so what similarly what we have to write, this is the parameters. So whenever if you use the answer rate, there is a four that means sysids table, old value, new value, cable, it was there. If you go to the sysid, sysid is at nothing but we can use this one as an array, and we can store the multiple sysids for the same thing if you required. And it was a table, that means the table of the item being 8, that means, and that is the current table, we can match it. Old value is nothing, values is nothing but what was the old values we have added, and new values is nothing but what was the new values is added. And next one, callback. Callback is nothing but it's a continuous callback that continues the execution of any other related cell edit scripts. So it will be execute one. If it is a true, it will be check for all the stuff. Now we have to write it. So for the same, the script is same. First, the logic is same. First, we need to define a variable where reg equal to uh, a to z, and the concept is same, a to z, a to z 029, and plus at the rate, I'm sorry, work.com to this one. Now what happened? Now what happened? We have created a at the rate work.com, and now what we have to do it is, we have to write a one, and again we need to pass the value if same thing, test dot, sorry, reg dot test, reg dot test, and I'm sorry, test new value, and it go to the, we can go to the one, and else we can write it on a pop-up alert. So stating that alert, stating that please enter the valid domain, or if you want to, what are the messages we have written there. So email ID is an item, so we can copy the same. So this is the one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this one. Now how it will execute the same thing here. So that means how, so now what we have written here is, so now this is the one. So enter a valid domain and all the stuff. Now we can write it. So now we need to check it. If you go here, work order. So if I'm going to use it, so just it will check it. Email ID is not under the word one, but still it was saving here. Whatever we have entered here, it was working. It was showing the pop-up, but still the user is saving the same thing. If you want to stop the user saving, so what we have to write here is, we have an option called what we can say, we have an option which will be save and close false. So here we have given the save and close as a true, so we can copy this one and paste it here, save and close false, FELS, false, for the same thing here. So save and close is false. Now again, if you want to do it, I'm just going to reload this one and we'll check the same thing here. So now if I see and see, it doesn't allow the user to do the same thing for it. That means it doesn't allow the user to using the what you call it. It is not allowing the user. For example, if I give the same user to test one at the rate work.com, if I give the same thing, it will be accepted. For the same thing, if you made any changes, like I'm just making this one, so email ID is not valid, please enter the correct domain, and the same message, it will not allow the user to log into the same thing for it. So this is the basic how we can onload and on change and on cell edit client script will work. So you got I hope you got it or any confusion. Still any confusion or you understood? Sorry. Okay, very good. So okay. So now the next step here, what we have to write is we have a different scenario how it will work it. So for example here, if I open record, okay, we have already an RNA record right here. So here I'm just going to add it a user email ID and phone number. For example, what is this? Okay, that's a work order task. So again, I'm just going to write a client script here, the same concept. So like user details autofill. Now I'm just going to all unload and on change, and I'm just making on change. So here I'm just going to the user. Okay, before that, what I'm going to do it is so here I'm just order. This is the workout. Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to configure. Go to the. I'm just adding it two more fields, which is a email user email ID and phone number. So I'm just making here. I'm just writing a user email ID, email ID string, and I'm sorry, the text is wrong. Just give me a minute. User phone number. So here, what I'm going to do is whenever if the user, so here what we have to write it is, whenever if the user is fill this form, so that means if the user is filled it, so what are the user email id which was entered here, able tutors for this one, able tutor able.tutor@gmail.com example.com, it has to copy here, and what was the phone number they has, then it has to automatically pop up there. So this is the requirement, so we can write a client script here. So that is the one, I'm just writing this for this one, it should be depending upon the user field, so we can write it. I'm just going to save this one as we create a new field, so it has to applicable. So now next step, what we have to write it, first we need to fetch the what was the value entered. So I'm just making where user equal to g underscore form dot get reference. Get reference is a method which will be used to get the value in the reference field. That means here, so here that means get reference is a use a method which will be used to get the reference value for the same thing here. Now that means here, so I'm just writing on which table we have to write it. So if you want to, we as we don't know the table name, so if you want to, we can just go here, tester underscore email, comma, I'm just defining a function, just I'm just defining a callback function, I'm just defining a function called callback. So the best practice, always use a callback functions in the scripts, so that we it doesn't hamper or any other thing. So now I'm just defining that function. So function callback, callback. So this is the same here. The function callback here. Now what, now what we have to write it is, now what we have to write it here is, whichever, what you can say, now what we have to write it is, we have to set the value for the whatever enter the same thing. So I'm just going to g underscore form dot set value. Set value is a method which will be used for the same thing for it. Now what I'm going to do is, so this is the one, and I'm just going to user email id, email id, and what was the one, we just go to the user, since we have copied all these ones here, and user dot email. So that means user dot email id is a backend name for the in that table. So now next one, we need to copy the form. So value user dot set value, set value of phone number, sorry. So now user dot, that means here whatever we have given the same thing. So for example, if you want to go to the user field, so I'm sorry, we just made a, so this one, if I open this able tutor, so what was the email id which was entered, it has to copy there, and what was the in the email phone number, it has to copy to the same thing. So here copy here, so user dot phone, this is the one. Now I'm just going to save this one. Now, so this is the ad we have added. Now try to, whenever if you made any client script, the best method what we have to do it is, we have to fill these all details. So if I add a able tutor, what am I? It's not added. Why it was not added? See, what we have given is the tester email ID given the field, which was given a field was wrong. So that's the reason it's not giving. So always you should check what was the field we have to write for the same thing. User, paste it and try to save it. Now just reload the form and verify. Now if I open, what happened? It's not filling. Just let me check. Function callback user. User dot phone number set value. Just try to reload. That's okay. So it's not loading. If reload the page, this is an user. That's fine. So what is the value? For example, if I give as I will tutor, see what does I will tutor if in a mail ID or maybe the well profile has some issue. See the able tutor and this one phone number is come automatically. So for example, for this able tutor, I have given something. We have given a phone number is trip all nines. For example, if I open this one and able tutor, 1 minute. I think the value is not changing. So here and this is the one what you entered. It will come automatically. So now, but here, but still we have the option to delete it. So once the value is filled it automatically, we can mark field as a read only. If you want to field read only, what we have to do it is g underscore form dot set read only. So user underscore email underscore id comma true. Next one g underscore form dot set read only user underscore phone underscore number comma read only is true. So now again I'm just, if you want to one, just try to reload a script. Now if I open Abel, what happened? Set it only. Did we saved it? I don't think we have not saved it. Let me reload this one. See, now we don't have option to edit the same thing. So that means here what we are doing is once we have modified it and we don't have any option to save this. That means once you have added, we will restrict the user to adding the same thing for the we will restrict the user to modify. Sorry, what we are saying here, we are restricting the user to edit the those full values once the value is filled it. So this is the how we can okay unchange client scenarios. So this is the task topic for today. Anyone has any questions for today's topic before I will assign the task today? Okay. And also here we have seen it in the UI policy, depending upon the some state field value, some field should be mandatory for this. So here, for example, if the state is in progress, that's fine. So if the state is development, this client instance verified and this development lead is mandatory for the same thing. So that means here what we are writing here is the development. If I go in development lead like that, if I am going to the testing, so like this one, this UAT test date and something like is mandatory. Tester email ID, UAT tester and test UAT testing start date is mandatory. If it is ready for UAT, something on, and if it is waiting for production move, something is mandatory. So what you guys do is depending upon this state value, some field should be visible, some field should be mandatory. That you have to work as a task for today. So this is the task for today. I hope you guys understand the task or any confusion. Okay. So this is the task. Anyone has any questions with the previous topics before we wind up? Okay, very good. So try to complete the task for today by for the tomorrow class. So we will discuss next topic in the tomorrow class. Thank you so much guys and have a nice day. Bye.